Yeah, man, I love a bit of Uncharted, and here we are, lost and rambling in the world of gaming. I'm your host, Baron Marf, and we're joined, as always, by the man of the hour, that sea dog that is Angry Link. How you doing, buddy?
Getting seasick.
Arr.
No, not really. I don't get motion sick anymore. Used to, but not so much now. Hopefully it might help for VR gaming.
Because I started travelling. Oh, really? Yeah, that's cool, man.
But no, I think that will never happen.
No?
VR gaming, that is. Not getting motion sick. Yeah, I just don't think there's nothing really out there. I mean, we saw a couple of bits earlier in the week from Future Lab. A couple of little bits here and there, but nothing that goes... You know you have to spend that £350, right?
No, I don't. Absolutely
no, that's it.
not.
There's nothing there yet.
Yeah. Anyway, look, a bit of Uncharted, nature of the beast. We go off in random directions. Exhibit A.
So pointed out just now.
Yeah, so what a lovely segue it was into... We've been thinking a little bit about sort of, you know your old gaming situations, what it was, and people go, they romanticise, couch gaming, or do you remember you used to go down the store and you get the game and in the cardboard box, had the big cartridge in there, and you'd sit in that little cardboard shell, nest, and all this sort of stuff, and the subject of game manuals comes out, and man, we loved game manuals.
Yeah, they have sort of somewhat disappeared from our gaming boxes.
So I mean, look, these were like artwork was involved in these, and they were fun. They had interest, all of these sorts of things. Storyline. We loved all of that, and we look at what we've got today, and they're a health and safety card, which just stops your game case from closing properly.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time it's
folds up and curls up in there.
Here's a slip for what's coming out in 18 months' time. Great
news, we've slotted it into the 1/2 inch grip for a proper game manual, which doesn't exist for this game.
Yeah, that's it.
There we go.
Again, that's another point. Why bother putting those clips there?
I don't know, just absolutely fucking pointless.
Yeah.
But yeah, or you get some stupid link, don't you, or something like that. But so it feels like we're missing part of our gaming heritage here.
Yeah, well, the manual wasn't per se a manual, really, was it?
No,
I mean, it was, but it wasn't. It wasn't like, say, you get an instruction booklet and you open it and it's some like IKEA-esque diagram after diagram of mall of text. There was some fun involved, and like you say, there was loads of artwork and there was some effort put into it. I mean, if you look at sort of what I like to deem the golden age, like you've got stuff like The Legend of Zelda, the first one.
It's the biggie, isn't it, that everybody refers to as the manual, which everybody loved.
I mean, it took the restrictions it had from the game and the technology itself and the lack of RAM. So they had to then obviously get creative and come up with ways to expand the world and give it life and make it more real. So like you said, they brought in this amazing little booklet that just expanded on some of the lore, give you a few highlights about some of the characters and enemies, featured some cracking artwork.
Well, this is the thing, the artwork itself, back in the sort of NES days, Commodore 64s,
even SNES.
You just had pixely graphics. Yeah. So these booklets which showed your character's face and what weapon he was holding and all that, you're like, right, so that's what Bruce Lee looks like in this game. Cool.
That's what he's supposed to look like.
Yeah, so when you see him standing in that weird stance and you're like, is that a sock he's wearing, or is that part, or why is his shin that colour? And then you look on the front cover or you look in the game manual and it's like, right, it's a bit of armour plating, that's cool.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, there's quite a few others. We've got some pretty epic examples. Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, man.
Well, to be fair, most of the Blizzard stuff, they've always been pretty good.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 4 was another notable one, because it expanded on the lore and it had some really cool comic strip sections. Falcon 4 was obviously a flight simulator on the PC. It was basically a training manual.
Right.
I mean, it was telling you about like what would happen if you tried to 0G turn in a F-16 doing this speed and
this was
that
this
kind of
huge
stuff.
Book, wasn't it?
It's a binder.
It's a binder.
Fucking ring binder. But again, most of the PC stuff was like there was a real effort for the PC, because it was clear that you knew your stuff and you were a serious person. If you went and spent this money on a PC rig to play games, you were serious about games. So they gave you some serious literature.
Some serious fucking literature. Yeah.
There was another one, Gran Turismo, first one, or even the first few. They always had a manual in there how to drive, how to race properly, like teaching about apexes and how to correctly brake and all of these things.
Nice.
So it wasn't just, it was almost like a strategy guide for some of these things. Halo 2 is another great one. It had 2 different versions depending on which edition you bought. Like one was written from a human's perspective, whereas the other one was written from the Covenant's perspective.
Nice.
So there's just all these really cool, interesting ways to take what is a fairly rudimentary, arbitrary thing, which just explains the controls and maybe a bit of the story that we couldn't fit on the disc.
I mean, I still think of things like the old Mario game manuals, and you just had these sort of really lovely bits of artwork of him like struggling to hold a shell, half tipped back, running along.
That's it.
And it just fun. It was interesting. You get the turn, press right on the D-pad and hold down B, and that makes you, so it was just a really nice way of just when it's kind of, for me, it was the kind of thing like if I was in the back of my parents' car, I had a game, I would open it up and I'd be going through the manual,
on
waiting
the journey home when you've just got it from the shop.
It was great.
The first thing you always did, because you always have time, is whip the manual out, give it a quick read through, look at to be fair, look at all the pictures first.
Yeah, of course.
And then, that looks interesting, I might read a bit about that. But no, I mean, I remember one of the Star Ocean games, I can't remember which specific one, but the manual, it actually told you how like the boss levels were worked out, and it basically taught you how to cheese the bosses.
Nice.
But again, if you didn't read it, if you didn't read the manual, it didn't tell you anywhere else in the game. Nowhere else could you find that information other than the manual.
I mean, there are certain games, just this is a kind of hot dog research you get here, folks. Don't know what they were or can't remember their names, but generally, I know there were ones where you had to use the book so it'd be like go to page 38 of the book to move on to the next step.
Yeah, you'd find
get
out
the code or something.
Yeah, that's it. And some developers and some publishers were smart enough to utilise the manual into their game world as such. To like you say, to give it a bit more life.
Yeah.
But then also it's that fourth wall thing again, when you're breaking kind of the barrier between the TV and the real world. And
I just think, realistically, if you compare them to what they are today.
Well, yeah, you talk about the decline, really, isn't it? And how they've descended into, like you were just saying earlier, just basically health and safety manuals or links. Maybe if you're lucky, it's a little bonus. Oh, you've got the day one edition. Here's your bonus
DLC code, which you're going to read. And by the way, folks, one of my personal favourite things to do with DLC codes is to scratch it off very, very carefully. Like, leave it looking immaculate. Try not to fold it at all. Make it still, when it's still got that wafty kind of, as you flex it, it makes that whoop, whoop, whoop sort of noise.
Yeah.
Keep it sharp. All the edges perfect, right? Take the code, put the code into my console, get the DLC, and then slide it back into the
slip
into the slip. Yeah. But if you can, underneath whatever advertisement shit they came with it, and that way, when somebody goes to buy it, when it's second hand, they go, "Oh, look, there's the DLC," and they pull it out, and they go, "Okay, I know it's scratched, or I know it's there, but maybe," and then they put it in. And it doesn't work because it's already on my account. Whammy.
What you do then is if you try and get like a thin layer, or if you can get like a sticker that's grey that looks like the scratch off stuff, and you just put it over the code.
Man,
so they'll be there scratching at it, and then actually just cut through it, and they'll be like, "Oh, I fucked it."
That point where you're actually going out your way to buy stickers to fuck with people.
You know that you've made it in life.
Yeah, you've really accomplished a lot.
But no, I mean, yeah, looking at the decline of manuals, I mean, technology didn't help, because obviously a lot of the things that were utilised, or the manual was utilised for, could then be pushed in game, like with the collectibles, like diary pages and that kind of stuff. Like, look at Alan Wake. If that was made, say, 20 years ago, everything outside of the game there would have been an actual Alan Wake novel shipped with it. But you can put that all stuff in game, so it goes all in game. You don't need to then obviously worry about the printing side and all of that stuff. Storage solutions obviously improve, so you can put more and more data on the game. I mean, Nintendo themselves dropped all of their manuals and just dropped them online for their virtual console.
So you can go and you can order printed versions, or you can actually get just the electronic version, which is cool. But there is a certain it loses its magic a little bit. But at least they're still proper manuals. But that's their old stuff.
Yeah.
Very rarely you seeing a lot of it nowadays.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't really see it other than like super deluxe editions, you never really see anything in the way of literature inside a game anymore. I mean, most of the time they just put the controls on the inside of the back cover. So you can't even read it properly. You've got to slide it out just to see the fucking controls, and thus damaging the cover.
The bit which really gets me is when you get here's a URL, so you hit it and it takes you to some janky browser that runs on your console, right? And it eventually, when it does open it up, it's just a complete and utter... It's either some annoying side window on your console, which is just like done by Microsoft, like, how can I help? What do you need help with? You've put in the word video game, sort of thing. Or it's, like I say, some janky website where it's just purely information only. And you're like, no, I'm here for I'm here for the game manual experience. Yeah. Hello.
And it looks like some, like your typical IKEA-esque, it's been translated from English to Chinese, back into English.
Double press A to...
and it just reads really weird or really weird, not really weird.
Really weird. What's he got?
I don't know. It's one of those... I mean, I'm a bit more hopeful. Because, looking a bit forward, obviously we saw with Rhyme.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's... Rhyme's having some fun in games with this.
Yeah, well, they come to the conclusion that it's probably a bit rich to ask people to pay an extra $10 for a digital copy when everywhere else's digital store's got it at $30. So they dropped that price down, but they still had to obviously keep the cost of the physical at $40. So to counteract that, they decided they're going to release some, obviously put some pack-ins with the game. And also I thought...
Stick of gum.
Basically, yeah. But, could we be seeing the resurgence of, like you say, the pack-ins and the manuals that actually created a bit more around the game and outside of the game?
This is it. This is what's happened. Look, just by pure and utter fuck-up and accident, Rhyme are in a position where they've actually gone, hey, guys... I think that physical copies are supposed to cost more. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh man, how did you get yourself in that position? Don't know, but I'm here now.
Yeah. What do we do? Throw in some art cards?
Yeah, do it. Try and justify that shit. Cool. Because they should. Physical copies should cost more. You've got to buy it from a brick and mortar. That costs money. Fine, I get that.
The manufacturing costs aside, the distribution costs.
Shipping.
Yeah, so the fact is that it costs an extra $10 isn't the thing. It's not the problem. It's just the fact that it costs $10 more than everybody else's physical copies as well.
Yeah, but the thing is like, do you know what? Right at the beginning of the Xbox One generation, I was still very much go hard copies. I pretty much bought my PS4 and my Xbox One with my old second-hand game collection. So it was like, you've still got value, you've still got to do this. Nowadays, I'm a bit more like, but if you buy a digital copy, it gets attached to your account and you may see it in back cats in later days.
If we're to believe Microsoft, going forward, it's now just Xbox, not Xbox blah 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 rudimentary subtitle. So hopefully it's a potential, like with PC, that this game that I bought 15 years ago, I can still play on my computer. We could actually get that on console, or at least Xbox.
Never going to happen. Microsoft are not going to be backwards compatible for the 360 maybe they will.
But for going forward from the One, because it's all under obviously the Windows 10 architecture, they'll probably stick with that, and that's...
Yeah, that seems doable.
Yeah. But now, like you say, the backwards but it'll be fucking powerful enough to run the cunt.
Yeah.
So there's no excuses why it shouldn't.
Yeah, but that's not stopped them before.
No.
Aha, watch me now. I've really fucked this one.
That's why they always change up the architecture. Well, that's why they used to change up the architecture all those years. Because if it was built on the same, like, say the Xbox One, because it's on a x86 standard stuff, any x86 machine, you should be able to make an Xbox One yourself to play it. You just need the software to run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's all on that same architecture, whereas like the Xbox 360 is built a different architecture. The Xbox built a different architecture. Like, look at Sony's last 3 consoles; they're completely fucking different. They've spent billions of yen developing these bloody systems on chips and all of that for them to just go, should we just buy them off the shelf?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do off the shelf.
Yeah, look how cheap it is.
Like obviously, there's the associated costs aside with this. Wait a minute, what were we talking about again?
Yeah.
But going back to manuals.
Back to the manuals. It's Uncharted, we're allowed to. So, I mean, there are some examples of people getting it right these days. So, instead of the here's a link and I'm in a fucking help screen, you can find things like the recent Street Fighter, Street Fighter 2 Final Challenges. They've got an amazing bit of artwork art book in there.
Yeah, because I think they released an art book. I think it was about a year ago of just all Street Fighter artwork. I think it was it the 20th anniversary or something last year?
Well, no. So what there was there's a publishing a magazine or an art book which was released regularly on Street Fighter artwork over in Japan, and it got discontinued. And I think they've used a lot of the artwork within sort of either the games and stuff like that. But
there's masses and masses of concept art in there.
So as part of that 30th anniversary, sort of they've amalgamated all of that artwork into just one location, which is on the game, and you can go look at it. It's all high res. And
it looks awesome. Some really, really cool artwork.
A lot of content.
Yeah. I mean, so taking that as an example, you can put, like you say, this art book on the game. But then, let's say if it's released on the Switch as well as the PlayStation 4, you know that the PlayStation 4 is going to be $10 cheaper physical. Mm-hmm. So would you then... The money is always then best spent on the PlayStation 4 version, but if you were, say, a massive Street Fighter fan, or a fan of whatever IP it is, we're told then if you get it on the Switch, you'll get this set of art cards or this book, which... you can't get on any information or you can't find anywhere else. You'd be like, I was going to buy it digital, but art cards, collectible things.
Secret information that other people don't know.
That you can find out on the internet within 2 minutes of someone buying it.
But I've got it in my hands.
Yeah, that's it. So there is that side of it, and we all know how much idiots gamers can be for trinkets.
But do you know, I like it when they go sort of... I mean, I'm not really one. I've got a couple of pretty cool figurines of Batman beating the fuck out of the Joker and stuff like that, but generally I'm not massively into figurines and stuff like that, but I do think there is value in them doing these sort of here's an amazing...
Here's something unique,
yeah.
Yeah, like you say, right, here's 4 art cards, but here's the kicker, you could do a Marvel-esque like they used to do in the 90s. Here's 30 different versions. We've got a potential for 5 different sets of cards. Here's 5 copies for you. But they're all random.
But it's funny because
Pocket Monsters,
I think of Fable 3.
Yeah.
So I bought the special edition version of Fable 3, and it came as a book.
Yeah.
And you opened it up, and there was your game, and in there was a coin that you could flip. But also at the bottom of the book there was a secret little latch, and as you pulled it down, the book had a sort of a flap which opened up, and in there was a deck of cards and shit.
Nice.
And it was all, and the deck of cards were all done in sort of the artwork of like the ace would have a chicken on it, looking all startled.
Yeah, that's it. But there's some.
And I was just I will pay money for that easily, happy.
And again, just going. Obviously, I know that one takes a bit more thought, and obviously it was a super duper edition, so a few more pennies than the standard. But something as simple as that, and like you say, is just created a bit more wonderment.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can. You know yourself that it's not worth that extra 20, 25, 30 quid that they want you to pay for just the standard copy of the game. But you buy it and you're like, it's really cool though. It's really special. I like it.
If somebody just gave that to you, which wasn't branded or part of the release pack, and said, do you want to spend 30 quid on this? You'd be like, fuck no. But right there, right then, when you are interested in this game and you want to play it, and there's the book, which is part of the game, and it's got some playing cards, which you can try and justify that you may use at some point.
Yeah.
Whammy.
Guess it, you're happy to spend an extra £30 on £3 worth of stuff?
So...
if you used to buy all of the individual items from that separately, it would be like £5.
So we're saying, if you're going to do a manual, you've got to have it in a game which it's got to be packed in with something which has some value.
Yeah, literally. I mean, I've got it down to you could go cheeky few art cards. You could go for something like Legend of Zelda-esque sort of encyclopedia historia kind of thing. You can go sort of like a log or a diary. That kind of thing. Because just imagine the Thing game. Do you remember when that came out? If they'd have packed that in with, say, a log for old captain or whatever his name was, Kurt Russell's character, which I know obviously wasn't about that in the game, but it would be a really cool little thing that it's all completely separate away from the game, but it helps build the world. I was really interested to find out if the guy who made Binding of Isaac, or the team that did Binding of Isaac, have done a physical copy for the Switch version, because that would be interesting. Those cats do some real fucking weird far out stuff outside of the game, like scavenger hunts, the lot fucked up.
I'll make a huge bet they didn't.
No. But there's some really interesting ideas that you could push. Again, going back to Metal Gear Solid 4, you could have like a little mini comic book.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes, it's going to cost you 15-20 grand to pay someone to fucking do it and commission someone to do it, but if that drives your sales up by an extra 20,000-30,000 people, that's that covered.
If you start delivering something where people think you've got value actually for what you're offering, that's something special, and I can see why I pay a little bit more, because it has got that cool art book, and it has got that, and
or some hints and some stuff that you wouldn't be able to find out anywhere else.
Yeah, I find out a bit more about my character. Great.
Yeah, it gives you, like you say, a bit of background on the person, because certain games don't lend well to obviously committing time and effort into finding out about a character, but we're seeing that story-driven games, when they're done well, they're done very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you like you say, Joel from The Last of Us. How cool would it be to, like you say, an old photo album?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Just something like that you can. It's something that doesn't have anything to do with the game. It doesn't give anything of the game away. But once you finish the game and you go back to it, you can really appreciate it, and you start to, and it expands.
Chuck some Easter eggs in there.
Exactly. But it's stuff that you'd only ever find out if you've played the game, and it could be really done interesting. I mean, it comes down to the sentence of basically do the old magazine trick of when you want to sell some copies, chuck some fucking extra shitty trinkets on there. Just
throw something in.
Prime example, my nephew yesterday, we was in the co-op buying just a little snack, get to the magazine rack, there's all of these magazines of stuff that he's interested into. Which one do you think he picks up?
The one which has got toys.
One with the shitty toys on the front.
Damn right.
So,
why me? Because get this magazine out of the way so I can play with my toy.
Yeah, that I can break in 5 minutes. Yeah.
Amazing.
30p's worth of shit, and instantly it's cost me a £5.
Nice.
So,
So, Link, game manuals, they've been something which are part of our heritage and what we remember, and we've, maybe we romanticise them a little bit.
I was going to say a bit more of the nostalgic carrot.
Yeah, but, in some ways, I am that guy who'd, open up a game and be like,
the smell of it is
fresh video gaming. Yeah,
because it is. You'd smell the printer's ink, and it would still have that, the film on it almost, where it's passed through.
When you pull up part,
because it's been pressed against ink, and it's slightly. Oh, I don't know that feeling. That's why I used to work in a printing press. It was amazing.
But this is the thing, that may be a bit romanticised in my mind, but I still miss it. Yeah. And, looking at it, I'm not sure where we are these days. I mean, any final thoughts on this one?
I mean, I think it's a good opportunity for devs and publishers, especially with this Switch business and the physical editions having to cost more than the PlayStation versions. I think it's a good opportunity to get creative. But sadly, I think it probably won't happen. It'll just be, it's $10 more, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
But on PlayStation, you don't fucking like it.
Yeah. So, I'm in exactly the same place. My final thought on game manuals is, we love them, but I fear their time may be gone. I fear they're at a point now where possibly we've seen them at their greats, and we just can't justify putting them in unless they're literally just a separate item where you go to the developer's website and you just buy it.
Yeah. Basically, I think it's a case of unless it can be made money off.
Ain't gonna happen.
It ain't gonna happen. Yeah.
Can't justify it. Well, there we go, folks. Another Uncharted wrap for another week. As always, if you like what you heard, then show some love, Head it down below. Subscribe if you want to hear some more of the old ESG gaming camp. So, from Angry Link,
I'm off to go float in the sea face down.
Good effort. This is the Mushroom. And from Baron, I'm out. Peace.